The Fickle Caps by TCC Magic and Taiwan Ben is a brand new set of gimmicked Coca Cola bottle caps that allows you to perform very visual, in the hands transpositions, color changes, vanishes, transformations, and much more. This is very commercial magic and it uses unique objects. It's not just a card or coin trick. This can play very well, especially in impromptu situations. It's a great EDC, but that said, there are a couple drawbacks that you need to be aware of when it comes to the Fickle Caps. So today we're going to be talking about all that and more. So stick around so you can know if the Fickle Caps are right for you. Here's one of the many routines you can do with the Fickle Caps. We've got an original red Coca Cola bottle cap and a diet Coca Cola cap. We'll take the red one and put it in the spectator's hands. We'll put that on the side. Now the black one, the diet cola cap, I'm going to hold. And with just a wave and a blow, we can get it to change places. See, now I have the red one and they have the black one. Now we're going to take this a step further because obviously we have both the red cap and we have the black cap. I'd ask the spectator, do you prefer the red or the black? The black one. So the Diet Coke. Are you sure? Okay, great. Now, it's a good choice you made choosing the black one because the red one, it has so much sugar. It's like eating straight candy. If you find this review of the Fickle Caps helpful, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss an upload. And also, I've partnered up with TCC, so if you want to purchase this or any other TCC item, you can get 15% off by using code BAMagic. It's in the comments below. And it does support the channel every time you use that code, so please feel free to do it. Now, what do you get when you purchase the Fickle Caps? When you purchase this, you'll get a red bottle cap, a black bottle cap, and 3 more gimmicks. 3 bottle cap gimmicks that work with these 2 caps. The gimmicks are very cool and they work together with the caps in different ways. You get a gimmick for the red bottle cap, a gimmick for the black bottle cap, and a sort of hybrid gimmick that allows for some very cool and strong convincers and color changes. Finally, you get the tutorial. What's the quality of the gimmick? The bottle caps, for the most part, should last you a very long time. They're plastic molded and they have the threading on them that should work with most Coca-Cola bottles worldwide. That said, there's one thing that I could see wearing out, and that is when it comes to durability, that is the coating of the hybrid cap gimmick, the inner coating, because there's a coating of color, and I feel like it could kind of chip and wear over time just based on the material. However, I think it would be very easy to fix if this ever does occur. All you would need to do is eventually just take a Sharpie and cover up any chips in the coating. So in theory, this should probably last you hundreds of, if not thousands, of performances. The fact that there's a sugar-free and regular Coke cap makes for some very interesting presentational ideas, presentational themes about candy maybe, or which is the healthier option. You can kind of build the routine around that. And some of the routines, you do need to provide some things. For example, the candy for the cap to candy routine, and a glass and handkerchief for Higar's cap transfer routine. And you'll need to provide a Coke bottle and some labels for some of the other DIY routines in the tutorial. Speaking of tutorial, how is the tutorial? The tutorial is very good. It's about 45 minutes long and the audio and video are both good. The camera angle's great. They go through about 7 segments, I believe. It's in English and there are routines, but first they go through the introduction, then the routines. The first routine is a very visual bottle cap transfer, which happens inside the spectator's hands. You give them the red cap, you hold the black cap, and the caps visually change places. This routine does have a very bold move, but if you execute it properly, the spectators will be amazed because the color of the cap is literally changing in their hand. That said, as I said, the move is ballsy and will take some confidence to pull it off properly. The next routine is kind of part of the routine I showed you. It's where you take one of the caps and just rub it and it turns into candy. It's a very visual and fun routine. And it ends pretty much clean with the candy on the table, and they can even eat some if they want. It kind of reminds me of Henry Harrius's cube to chocolate routine. However, this routine does require a little more setup, and the cap needs to be stored in your pocket in a specific way, a specific orientation that's a little bit more specific, a little bit more. It's important you keep it in that orientation. I'll just say that, because when you bring it out, when you're presenting the trick, you want it so that you don't expose the gimmick. Also, there is a Coca Cola bottle color change top, which is very, very visual. The whole bottle changes. So the label changes from our red Coca Cola, an original, into a diet, and both the label and the cap change color. This is best for social media, in my opinion. It's very visual, but I just can't see myself carrying around this gimmick bottle just for that one visual moment. So if you do social media magic, if you post reels on Instagram or shorts on YouTube, then I'd recommend building the gimmick for that routine. They'll also go through Higar's variation on the bottle cap transfer. It requires a glass and a handkerchief. And this is very nice because it has a very elegant feel to it. And compared to the first bottle cap transfer taught, it's a little less ballsy. You don't have to do that bold move in the spectator's hands. And after this, they show you a super visual bottle cap routine. It's very striking. It's kind of like eye candy. However, once again, for that routine, you will need a bottle. You'll need to take a Coke bottle and gimmick it. And again, I just couldn't see myself carrying around a gimmicked Coke bottle just to do that one trick. And it doesn't end examinable either. So that was probably my least favorite routine, even though it is super visual. And finally, they go through some handling tips. All in all, the tutorial was very good. They go through everything you need to know. It wasn't too long and it wasn't too short. Are there any clothing restrictions? No. Is this a social media or real life effect? This can absolutely be performed in real life, but a few of the effects would work best for social media, as those ones aren't as practical and they're more visual, such as the bottle color change and the final routine, where the cap kind of goes through the bottle, I think, and changes color at the same time. It's a strange routine, but some of the routines, most of them could be performed in real life, but some are just better for social media. What are the angles like? This varies from routine to routine. However, the angles are generally pretty good. I'd say they're about 180 degrees for most of the routines. You won't want people on your direct side or behind you though. Are there any live performances? No. There are no live performances in the tutorial. Is this examinable? Well, depending on the routine, maybe. If you ditch the inner gimmicks in the bottle caps, you can hand them out for examination. However, generally, the caps aren't thoroughly examinable at the end of the routine. If you're doing the bottle capped candy routine, you end with the candy on the table, and of course, that is examinable if you use real candy. They can even eat it. But I personally use plastic candy because if I'm carrying this around, I don't want M&Ms melting in my pocket. So I use the plastic candy that I got in Henry Harris's Cube to Chocolate project. And that works just fine. It works just as good as real candy. They just can't eat it at the end, which is probably fine. Most people probably wouldn't eat the candy even if it was real, just for sanitary reasons and stuff. But yeah, if you want to, you can use real candy. Now let's talk about the difficulty and practicality of this effect. Again, this varies from routine to routine. For the project as a whole, I'd recommend this for an intermediate magician, not a beginner magician, definitely not, because there are some ballsy moves and some moves that will require practice. The choreography is very important with this. You want to make sure you have a routine that flows and a proper script and justification. The moves will require practice, and it will take work, as I said, to put the whole thing together. I'd say this is practical for impromptu magic, casual performing, but also for close-up walk-around gigs and even for banquet magic. It's very practical, and it can play bigger as there's lots of contrast between the red cap and the black cap. It's very practical and can play even bigger since there's a lot of contrast between the red and black caps. This can also be done very organically when there are other Coca Cola bottles around. For example, you can load the gimmicks on before the show and then say, hey, can I borrow this? And just do the magic with that. That's very strong. And that's the best case scenario when this will play the strongest, but this can still get great reactions even if you just bring out the caps from your pocket. I personally would be a bit careful during the transposition in their hands routine, especially when doing the bold move, because if you don't have good audience management, it's possible they notice the move. Also, there are some very small discrepancies when it comes to the size of the cap before and after the color changes. So I would add a bit of time misdirection, maybe 1 or 2 extra seconds, rather than doing the instant flash changes that they show in the tutorial. That's just my opinion though. Is there any DIY? For some of the routines, mainly the routines that involve actual Coke bottles. Pocket space. Not much at all is required. When everything's put together, it only takes up the space of about 2 bottle caps. What is the reset like? It's about 5 seconds. It's very quick. What is the price? This costs $60 at the original price. Is it worth the price? Well, that is definitely a little overpriced. However, TCC is currently offering it for a discount. If you get it from their website right now, you can get it for $48. And if you use my 15% off discount code, you can get it for $40. I think it is definitely worth $40 because the gimmicks are precision engineered. So if you want to pick up this for 2/3 of the regular price right now, you can do so at the TCC site with my code. At $60, it is definitely a little overpriced. At $40, I think it's perfect. Especially when you look at many other cap magic effects like Pro Caps by Lloyd Barnes. That's $40, I believe. So yeah, this is the right price. And the gimmicks are super well made. They are precision crafted. What are the pros and cons? The pros are this is so visual, it's in the hands, it's not a card or coin trick. There's a lot of contrast between the red and black bottle caps, making this very visual. There are many routines taught and more applications that you'll probably be able to think up in your head. There's variety in the routines. Not all of them are just transpositions. There's also transformations. There's things with bottle caps, with the whole bottle, changing color, penetration kind of thing. There's a lot of variety. Another thing is the angles for most of the routines are generally pretty good. Also, there's a lot of contrast between the black and red bottle cap, so you can actually see when they're changing colors. It's not like you can barely tell them apart. The gimmicks are very well made, and you get a few different gimmicks. This fits the threading on the gimmick bottle caps works with most Coca Cola bottles worldwide. It feels like real bottle caps, and it's very organic magic. Not much pocket space is required either. What are the cons? The cons are, I guess, there is a slight discrepancy in size when you do the color change. As I said, it's not a very big discrepancy, but if you do a flash change and they're inches away from the props, if they're like this and looking super closely and you do a flash change, it's possible they notice, but very, very unlikely. Also, there is quite a bold move required for the first routine, and some routines aren't quite as practical when it comes to getting into them. I feel like one of the gimmicks, the hybrid one, may start chipping eventually on the inside, but it's an easy fix. All you would need to do is take a Sharpie and dot it, but that shouldn't happen for a long time. I've used this. I've been practicing this a ton for the past week, and I haven't noticed anywhere on the gimmick. So I think they should be good for hundreds, or if not thousands of uses. It's also a little overpriced at the full price, and there is a reset. But what percent am I giving this? I'm giving the Fickle Caps an 86%. It's very good. I like it. Won't be for everyone. If you don't like the idea of doing magic with bottle caps, it won't be for you, of course. But if you want to do something that feels super organic, super strong with everyday objects, this is great. It'll make you look like a real magician. The fact that you can do stuff with ordinary props or ordinary objects lying around the house. But that's it for this review. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.